Good morning, real estate fans. Alice Lema here, broker John L. Scott, Southern Oregon Real Estate, welcoming you to my very first ever weekly podcast. Welcome, welcome. I'm so happy you could join me today. It's very, very exciting. And you know, over the months to come, we're going to be doing some deep dive conversation, not only about what's going on with Southern Oregon real estate, because it is so incredibly interesting. This is just the best place in the world to live, in my opinion. But there's also a ton of diversity. We have a lot of diversity in our employment, in our jobs, in our industry. We have everything from farms to shops to government. We also have a lot of diversity in our neighborhoods and our people. And then we've got lots and lots of outdoor activities and wildlife space, as well as space in town. So we'll never run out of things to talk about. It is all very, very interesting. But additionally, I'd like to start discussing what's going on in the national real estate market and also the world finances. Because you know what? It really does affect us here in Southern Oregon, and we want to take all that into account. So welcome, and over the months to come, we'll have a lot of interesting conversations and some great guests. Today, for our first podcast, we're going to be talking about transitions, because we have two transitions happening simultaneously. We have the transition from our summer selling and buying season into the fall winter. Not that anything's good or bad, it's just different. We want different strategies. But also we have the simultaneous market changes where we've been coming off of the seller's market, the hyper fast, speedy, everything's going quickly kind of market, low inventory market, into a more normalized, in some cases, a buyer's market where things are staying longer on market, days on market longer, and also the appraisals are coming in lower. So that kind of settles down and normalizes our market, which we haven't had a normal market in such a long time. We had 6 to 8 years of crash, depending on what neighborhood you were in, and then we had 6 or so more years of recovery, and now we're kind of normalizing, and a lot of people are not used to it. So we're going to talk about a couple of things you can do. If you're selling right now and have been on the market for a few months during the summer, if you're not in escrow right now, you need to look at your price, and you need to go back and listen to the feedback you got from your buyers, and also if you had any open houses, because that is the market speaking. Those people will be super honest and super direct with you if your price is too high, if there's something wrong with the property. So get the price right, get the property squared away, take care of those things people mention, and you should be in escrow in the next few weeks, and that means you could actually be moving by the holidays, because remember, escrows are 4 to 6 weeks, 30 to 45 days. If you're not willing to make repairs and adjustments to your property, and or you're not willing to take a price adjustment, then you need to have a long talk with yourself, quite frankly, and decide if you want to sell or not, or if you want to sell or not right now. Because maybe you should go off the market. Maybe you can try to make some adjustments over the winter and come back next year, or maybe you put in a tenant and address it in a few years. Remember, Oregon is the first state in the union to have statewide rent control. So being a landlord now is a different bailiwick. It's not bad, it's just different. There's a lot of rules. It's still a very great business to be in, but it's a lot different. So if you're going to do that, leave me an email on the subject line, and I'll send you the FAQ sheet from the state of Oregon. So if you're selling, take care of the comments that you've been given from your buyers, get a price adjustment, or go off market, but just have some clarity in your own heart and mind about what you're doing. If you are buying, this is statistically the best time of year, the next few weeks, because there's still leftover inventory from summer, so it's not super slim pickings, but also the sellers are tired. You just heard me speak to the sellers about what to do for their situation, but you can use that to your advantage. Anything that's been on the market for more than 30 or 60 days, they're either talking about going off the market. If they're listening to me, they're talking about going off the market, putting in a renter, doing a price adjustment, or improving the property somehow. So that can be your golden window. Plus, we have ridiculously low interest rates right now. So if you're buying, look for the DOM on the websites. That's days on market. You're looking for anything over 30 to 60 days. Also, get with your lender and get reapproved and find out, now the rates are lower, can you buy higher? Or even better, can you stay at your not property, but your monthly payment, your payment, can you stay at that same payment but get a little bit more house? So very, very exciting to be a buyer right now. And I love this little window between summer and fall because I think you get the best of both. You still have some nice inventory, but as well as you've got more cooperative sellers, or at least their mindset is more cooperative, or they'll just go off market. So with that in mind, if you're buying right now and you do write offers and they just reject it and pull their property offline, do not take it personally. If you're going to buy during this transition season, you got to be a little stoic. You got to have some spine, because not all the sellers are going to be happy to take your lower offer. So you just need to have another house or two or property or two in mind in case the first one does not get accepted. And again, don't take it personally. The sellers have their own life process going on, and they just might not be able to play ball with you right now. So just move on to the next one. That's really your best advice during these transition opportunities. Lastly, I want to address appraisals, because the appraisals start going cattywampus during these transition times, and we have two simultaneous transitions, remember. One is the seasonal and one is market adjustment. And so in my personal real estate business, and remember, I'm just one agent here in Southern Oregon out of over 1,000, but I sell almost a house or two a week. And in the last couple of months, I've had 4 situations where the appraisals came in low. Now, 2 of them were on the listing side. I was hired by someone to sell their house, and 2 came on the buyer side. I was hired by somebody to represent them while they did a purchase. Now, on the buyer side, those 2 situations, we negotiated a lower price. They did not write full price offers, right? We got a good deal, and then they still came in low. In one situation, it was only $2,000. In the other, it was $28,000 under. It was just scary, shocking. Our stomachs hurt. We couldn't sleep. But you know what? At the end of the day, we got that one worked out as well, and it was really wonderful but surprising, because that's a big difference to make up. And you need to know the folks that were buying this house, they came in with a few $1,000s of their own to help make up the difference. Not a lot, but a little bit. So they basically overpaid for that house, but they did it to get the house they wanted. And then the seller came the rest of the way down. Again, it was wonderful but scary, and it added a lot of time so nobody could move at the time they wanted, and then that was delays with moving trucks and stuff. So if you're going to be buying and selling in this transition, then you need to keep that in mind too. Don't make any hard plans until the appraisal is back. That is just really, really good advice. Now, on the listing side, it was very interesting, because in one case, the seller would not make up the difference. They wanted to go back on the market and try to get a cash buyer, because as you remember, if you listen to my talks, cash buyers do not get appraisals. Or if they do, they're not influential in the financing, because there is no financing. Person's just writing a check. Well, not just, but they're writing a check. So in that respect, this particular buyer, and again, I had the seller, this particular buyer wanted that property so badly, they made up the entire difference for the low appraisal, and it was about $10,000 or $11,000. So that doesn't happen very often, but it was wonderful that it did. Everybody got to go on their merry way, and it happened fairly quickly, so there wasn't a long delay. Everybody still got to move on time. And then in the last listing situation, the seller came down. I think that was about $10,000 or $12,000 as well. And again, these buyers were negotiating good prices. Nobody was paying full price, and they still, the appraisal still came in low. So what that tells me is that we're still normalizing, we're still bottoming out. It's still a little bumpy out there, but if you know that ahead of time and you can be prepared emotionally, financially, and your timelines, so that you're not hiring everybody on these hard and fast dates until that appraisal report comes back. I think this is a really amazing time to be making real estate purchases and sales here in Southern Oregon. So that's it for today. Thank you again for joining me on my first ever weekly podcast. My name is Alice Lema, broker, John L. Scott, Southern Oregon Real Estate. You can reach me directly at 541-301-2999. 7980. I work both counties. I've got my fingers in a lot of pies, and mostly I'm just opinionated, and would love to help you with your consultation, give you some education. We can have a coffee, we can have a sit down, whatever you feel like you need at the time. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Make it a great day.